Hello, my name's Carl Deerstein, and I am an addict.
Hi, Carl.
Carl.
Um, my journey in my recovery in NA is multi-leveled. I'm a chronic relapser. I've been arrested multiple times, more than I really knew once I saw my arrest report, my record. I wasn't ready, I hadn't given up. For years though, I knew I was an addict. I just didn't know what to do about it. I didn't know who to go to or what to do about, being sick and tired every day. And so finally, I got arrested in 2 different counties and was looking at some major time. So the consequences for my actions is what finally drove me to seeking recovery. I did 2 different recovery homes and had about 9.5 months of residential recovery. And I decided to look at my past history. I'd been in recovery houses before and been the poster boy, and I was doing that again, and I had to ask myself a serious question of what am I going to do different this time? How am I going to change this? Because the last time I did this and got out, I lasted 2 hours, and I was appalled at that. I was appalled at the fact I only lasted 2 hours after so many months and of residential treatment. And so I asked myself what I was going to do different. And the major thing for me was, am I willing to do whatever it takes? And so this time, I actually, in the middle of being in a residential facility, had the obsession to be lifted. It wasn't a burning bush or any exciting, huge thing, but it happened. And what I knew I had to do this time was to get out, get a home group, go to 90 meetings in 90 days, get a sponsor, and start doing step work. And so I made a point of absolutely doing that. The second I got out, I got into an SLE and got a sponsor who I met in H&I during in the recovery home, and started doing the things that were suggested of me. We don't tell you what to do. We just suggest that you do things. And what you do with those suggestions is what makes the difference of going on that journey of recovery or going sideways. One of the hardest things I had to get a hold of was the letting loose of all of your old buddies. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about that. You can't continue seeing the same old people going to the same old places and not expect the same old results. You really have to make some changes in your life. And your friends and who you hang out with is a major change that you have to make. And sometimes it's hard. It was very frustrating for me when I first got out of recovery house. I went to the same meeting place for probably about 3 months before people started to accept me and know who I was and call me by my name and all that. And I was very frustrated with that. But it paid off in the long run. I've been doing this for coming up on 4 years now, and people know who I am in all over the Bay Area. I'm not saying that to brag. It's just it's something that happens. If you stay with the fellowship long enough, people get to know who you are. I also, besides getting a sponsor, I got into service. Being of service is one of the most rewarding, fulfilling things I've done probably probably in my entire life, tell you the truth. It's when you do H&I work, especially for a facility, and then you go to meetings on the outside, and you meet these people who you saw in that facility on the outside, and they come up to you and say, I remember you used to bring an H&I meeting into us. And that's just, I still have not been able to put into words that feeling. It's a feeling you have to experience. You just can't, there's no explanation for it. So, yeah, I went from being unemployable for 12 years, being homeless for 8 to 10 years, to having a roof over my head, having a job, becoming a quasi-manager of 2 different bicycle shops in the Bay Area, and it's an experience that I never thought was possible. I mean, I thought my life was over. I really did. That's why I just resigned myself to doing drugs in my storage facility for the rest of my life. I really sat there and thought, I'm sitting in a storage facility going, this is it. This is my life. Until I drop dead, this is the way it's going to be. And my life changed. My life changed. And it's definitely because of NA. The recovery house helped, but I've been through so many recovery houses that my decision to get out and stay with NA and stay with going to meetings and hook up with people who are doing the right thing, living life on life's terms, that was my decision that I made. That's how I changed my life. And I don't regret it for anything. I mean, I wouldn't change it for anything. My existence used to be sleeping on somebody's couch or in my car and going to my storage during the daytime and just living my entire life wrapped around drugs. The getting, using, and finding ways to use more and keep everybody happy around me. You know, it was just madness. It's an existence. It's not a life. It's an existence. So I've chosen life. I've chosen to try and live life on life's terms, and sometimes that's not easy. I've been dealt a couple of harsh blows recently, but one thing that I have learned by showing up to meetings and actively listening to the people who are up at that podium is that whatever happens to me, somebody else in this fellowship has gone through that. They've walked through it. And by watching them or hearing them talk about them walking through it, I know I can get through it. And if I can't, or if I find myself stumbling, I can just go to these people and ask them, hey, how did you get through this? Hey, I'm having a problem with this. And they're more than helpful. They're more than willing to help out and to help anybody. You know, this is a wonderful gift. You know, it's you don't ever have to use again. All you have to do is just make the decision to keep coming back and do the simple things that are suggested of you. It's a very simple program for very complicated people who we love to complicate our lives. You know, the woulda, shoulda, couldas. Well, if that person hadn't done that, or that officer hadn't arrested me over here, or I didn't do that burglary, or whatever. It's you know, life is a little bit more simpler when you simplify your life. You take all that stuff out of your life and the problems kind of stop coming in. Like I say, I have a job. I've actually got a loan. I mean, these are things that have come from, these are some of the rewards that you get from living life, you know, taking that next right step in the next right direction. You know, like I said, I wouldn't trade my life for anything. So that's about it for me.